Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session. I'm Vanessa Kraft. I am the Global Head of Content Partnerships at TikTok, looking after lots of exciting things like entertainment, sports, lifestyle, news, you name it. So today, what is on the agenda? Today we will welcome you all, so welcome. I'm going to spend some time talking about fandom on the platform, how that shows up, and the unique tools that we have on TikTok to really harness that going forward. Then we will have Stephen, who is here, who will be introduced shortly. He's going to speak a bit about some really exciting research that has come out of Samba TV. And then we will go into a panel where we will discuss in depth how our industry experts feel about the future of fandom across television and film. So, culture, TikTok. Well, we all know what happens on TikTok does not stay on TikTok. That rule does not work. It goes everywhere. It grows. Conversations about everything expand and then expand again and then become new things altogether. And that's not even touching on what happens in the comments. I don't know if everyone here is familiar with a little something called the Jet2 holiday. I will never skip a Jet2 holiday video. I need to see people falling off jet skis on a regular basis. It's just like what I need to be happy. But that's an example of something that is so specific and such a niche topic that somehow becomes universal. We've all had fails. We've all had holidays go wrong. So that's kind of like a little bit of a key into how much culture is driven by something that can be as small as a simple family holiday. It's really TikTok is really an infinite loop of creativity driving conversation, which drives community, and then just goes on from there. So when we talk about the TikTok effect, we're really thinking about, yes, there's conversations around sports, there's conversations around fashion. Entertainment is where we're really seeing some exciting things happen. So those who are engaged with TV and film on the platform, they are not coming just to scroll. They're coming to be entertained and in cases do the entertaining themselves. They're not just coming to discover. We know that's a great thing about TikTok, but they're also coming to drive a conversation and start a conversation that then will drive even more content engagement and conversation. So here we have this stat, on the platform, we've got 4.7 million posts with the hashtag what to watch. You're never going to watch them all, just so you know. You can do your best. I've tried. I almost lost my job because I had to go to work. But if you want to do that, let me know if you make it. And we also know that 3/4 of users say that we really do influence what they watch next. That's a lot of what we're talking about today. So it's really, there's quite a decisive voice on the platform that is shared by many talking about what they want to see, how they want to see it, whether it's fan edits. Not sure if you guys have seen the Creed edits that have been fan edits that's going on. It's unbelievable. And then people made fan edits about the Creed edit, and then it just keeps, it's a lot. And every once in a while, we do get, it's not just about, the voices of someone like Charlie XCX, who we're going to take a look at in a minute, giving her take on what's happening on the platform. There's millions of others with the same perspective.
I'm telling you what I watched again. Also, I just had a facial, so I'm a little bit glowy, sorry. I watched More Than Colour by Lynn Ramsey. This movie is beautiful. The cinematography is amazing. Sometimes it's like really shaky and handheld and sometimes not. Aesthetically, it's just gorgeous. Great party scenes in this too. Samantha Morton, incredible as always, kind of won her career. It kind of explores friendship, but also kind of what you do when you have this huge event in your life and you're supposed to sort of respond in a certain way, but you just feel really lost. Gorgeous film. I was craving something a little campy, spooky and jumpy, so I watched this Wes Craven movie, Red Eye. If you like fun, you should watch this. And also it's 1 hour 20, so sometimes when I want to watch a movie but I don't want to do a 3.5 hour opus, I'll look for a 120 movie. This is a perfect 1 hour 20-minute movie. It's fabulous. Wes Craven.
So this is kind of an example of how TikTok, this is a bit of an aside, but a lot of TikTok now, why Charlie's working there is because it's just like a friend calling on FaceTime. This is how someone would talk to you that way. So that's also what's really cool, that you have one of the biggest pop stars in the world giving personal recommendations to movies, but it's no different than if your girlfriend called you and was complaining about a TV show or excited about a TV show or had opinions about what characters should have done next. So here we've got some comments just from fans giving their own takes on what's happening in commentary. So as a result of this type of conversation and this type of activity on the platform, we have built a program that has custom tools and features that enable rights holders to harness the power of this fandom.
I'm telling you.
And also, just before we go into that particular product, which is called Spotlight, just touching on the way that people engage with TV, film, and streaming content on the platform is it's not just about being very hyped up about the newest and the latest, like the new Superman movie. It's also about the favorites, the things you watch over and over. Family tradition, we watch Harry Potter every Christmas, just running in the background, or Black Mirror, not a family tradition, more of shaking and crying tradition, but but the point is people love to engage with things that they're already familiar with and that they already know, and it brings back memories, and they also love to have conversations speculating on new releases and director's cuts and things like this. So it's really a really wide-ranging lens that creativity shows up. So here's a video just going to introduce what Spotlight is. That's this new program.
TikTok is the place where fans come to discover and share the things they love. But imagine if there was a way to take direct action after seeing a TikTok about your favorite movie or television show. Introducing TikTok Spotlight, a one-of-a-kind product feature that allows you to harness the power of TikTok fan communities for your films, TV, and franchises. Here's how it works. All of the fan creations about your movie or TV show will now feature an anchor link. Users can tap that attribution link. They'll arrive on a custom in-app destination where they can discover more, like synopsis, cast, official accounts, and related creator content. Users can take action, like buying tickets, watching streaming options, adding to favorites, and more. Looking to amplify your fandom? With fun and easy creator rewards, you can encourage users to create their own fan content. And with your analytics dashboard, you can monitor emerging trends and tap into on-platform fan conversations. TikTok Spotlight is launching globally to help TikTok communities co-create around their favorite entertainment content. So see your fandom come to life on the For You feed today.
Such a distinctly American voice there. TikTok. Okay. I'm Canadian, I can say that. All right, what am I talking about? Right, okay, book to screen. So one of our most special, most exciting collaborations that we've done, or that we've worked programs with Spotlight that we've done, is hashtag book to screen. This was a partnership we did with Amazon Prime Video, where they gave us 15 of their global titles that they were launching to help spark fan conversation and creativity. I'm going to show a video quickly about that, but just in general, if you think about how big, especially in the UK actually, how big book talk is, and you combine that with film talk, it's made to happen, that there are stories to be mined and utilized. And so Amazon was celebrating some major book-based titles. There's Maxton Hall from Germany, This Summer I Turned Pretty from North America, The Culpables from Spain, and My Fault from London. So just take a quick look.
I started My Fault this morning, and I think it's going to be the cure to my slump.
Book Talk is where books come alive and where readers make the magic happen. It's a global community on TikTok where millions share what they're reading, what moved them, and what they can't stop thinking about. With over 370 billion views and counting, Book Talk has turned quiet reads into global hits, fueling fan momentum behind the stories they already love, launching new authors, reviving old favorites, and inspiring film and TV deals around the world. Here, a single post can make a book a bestseller. A passionate review can spark a million conversations. It starts with one reader, one post, one moment that resonates. Then it spreads through comments, reactions, and conversations. On Book Talk, stories spread because the community cares. That's what turns a book into a movement. On TikTok, discovery feels personal. 87% of users say they come across content they actually relate to. That's what makes Book Talk different. It's not just about summaries or star ratings. It's about emotional connection. It's not just a feed. It's a reflection of what moves you. Discussions, imaginations, universes, turning stories into screen adaptations across languages and formats. It's not just about what we're reading, it's about what we're watching, sharing, and celebrating together. This is where books become something bigger. This is the future of storytelling. From one video to 190 countries, Book Talk helped Culpa Mia become one of Prime Video's biggest global hits. And fans didn't stop there. They kept the buzz alive. With Spotlight, they found each other, shared reactions, and built something bigger than a feed. This isn't just a trend. This is storytelling powered by fandom. TikTok, fandom without borders.
That was a little American too, wasn't it? It's okay, it's fine. We're just in Europe. So again, the beauty of Book Talk, the beauty of the conversation, fandom, the way that we see what has happened with the book industry and how much these fans take on this community, take on this conversation, and really want to help drive things forward. This is what's happening here. So with Culpables, one of the top performers for Amazon Prime Video, the trailer, the third trailer, our third release was the most watched on Amazon Prime TV. So fans just, they respond in droves, fan edits, as we've said, but also conversations, speculation, stitches, and so on. Okay, and finally, before I introduce my buddy over here from TikTok, I don't know why I said that. Okay. Yes. So what we're talking about here is when you take the strength of organic storytelling and you take a strategic paid media approach and you put them together. That's where studio and streamers really reach key audiences at scale, and that's the thing that TikTok can do so well, is really just blow that scale out of the water. So the tools that we have with Spotlight, they support every stage of a campaign journey, and really the community takes that and goes on and builds what's next and really maximizes the effectiveness of campaigns that are part of culture. And on that note, I'm now going to introduce Stephen.
Good morning, everyone. I am going to be talking to you today about a very exciting new piece of research we have undertaken with Samba TV. My name is Steve Norton. I am the head of entertainment for TikTok here in the UK. The study that we're launching, and you're going to be beginning the day with some great data. So we have some really, really interesting insights from a first of its kind study that's been undertaken here in the UK. Our commitment to our partners and to our advertisers is to be able to give you as much insight and as much tangible data around the real world outcomes that your TikTok advertising activity is delivering. We know it's a very fragmented media landscape. We know it's ever more important to be able to prove the effectiveness of your advertising spend. So we have been focusing on, building partnerships with, measurement leaders like Samba TV, who are the market leaders when it comes to television measurement, to be able to prove out the value of your TikTok advertising campaigns. So this year, we did our first ever meta-analysis of 11 advertising campaigns from leading broadcasters and streamers on TikTok. And we measured them with a view to answer two key questions. Do TikTok ads drive tune-in? And also more crucially, who are the type of TV viewers that TikTok advertising campaigns are driving to watch your shows? So I'm excited to say that TikTok drives tune-in. So we, across the entire 11 campaigns, we saw a huge 44% lift in incremental viewing from the campaigns that had advertising on TikTok. So very simply, that lift is comparing audiences who had seen ads related to these 11 shows and comparing the incremental tune-in lift to those who hadn't seen any advertising around those shows. Great new launches like Amandaland was able to tap into and leverage this great additive tune-in lift opportunity. I think what was really exciting and very interesting is that if you look at the actual lift opportunity and the incremental lift that TikTok can drive with existing IP, that increases from 44% to 49%. So huge thanks to our partners at ITV, who are very kindly, allowing us to give a bit more insight and a bit more, share a bit more information around the great success we saw with their Love Island All-Stars campaign this year. This campaign actually drove one of the highest lifts across the entire study. So we actually saw over a 70% tune-in lift on the Love Island All-Stars campaign. So I think that's a great proof point around the value of, Vanessa's referenced about the huge amount of, the huge community and the fandom on TikTok and the fandom opportunity. And what this data does is prove out that, the real world outcomes that activating that fandom and activating those communities can drive, and to ultimately, drive tune-in for those crucial TX moments when it comes to, well-known and well-loved IP like Love Island. However, there is always a challenge to keep maintaining the momentum and the love of that IP. And we think that, TikTok, and this data proves that TikTok is a great platform for you to be able to do that and maintain that continued, love of this well-known IP. Another interesting point from our study is the type of TV viewers that TikTok is able to, to drive that incremental tune-in from. So vast majority of the overall tune-in lift, so 69%, came from two very hard to reach audiences. So light TV viewers, so viewers who only watch up to 1 hour of TV per day, and medium TV viewers, so viewers who only watch up to 3 hours of TV per day. So 69% of that incremental tune-in lift came from those two audiences. So we believe that this data proves that TikTok can give you that opportunity to be able to grow the headroom of your audience for your shows, to be able to convert and create new fans of your IP, and particularly be able to reach this kind of very, very difficult to convert audience. So very simply, if we're thinking about how TikTok can help you drive tune-in and launch your shows, we see ourselves as that platform that can convert new fans and build new fans. 60% of our audience feel a sense of community on TikTok. And I think that really, really is so apparent in the world of TV and the love of so many diverse shows on TikTok. And I think it is that opportunity in the way that our audience feel that they can be part of a community around one of their most loved shows and really kind of delve into those kind of more niche elements of why they love that show. And I think it's, as this data shows, that the value of activating those communities and those fans can drive a huge amount of incremental tune-in and convert new audiences. So hopefully everyone's going to get their phone out now and scan this QR code, because I've given you a very, very top line insight as to our study. We have a lot more detail here when it comes to actually further insights around the incremental tune-in gains that we believe that we can drive at TikTok. We're really, really proud of this study. As I said, this is the first of its kind in the UK. And we see this as the beginning of our continued journey when it comes to really developing very, very deep measurement for all of our partners in the broadcast and streaming space. Because we know there is just a huge amount of conversation and a huge amount of fandom on TikTok around these beloved shows. And what our goal is to keep on giving you insight and actually tangible data around the outcomes that we are driving for you, and particularly for you to be able to validate and prove out the value of that investment in an advertising sense. So I'm going to hand over to Hannah, who's going to introduce our amazing panel this morning.
Hello everybody, I am Hannah Townsend. You might know me from my channel Talk of the Townsends, where I make film and TV content with my husband. We're going to be doing a Q&A at the very end, so I'm told you guys know how to use the app, so if you have any questions, please plug them in and we will go through them at the very end. I am so delighted to be moderating this panel, and we have such an amazing lineup for you, including Jasmine Dawson, the Senior Vice President of Digital, working with Brands and Licensing Division of BBC Studios. Do you want to come join us? Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you do? And I would also love to hear your favourite TV show at the moment.
Awesome. I'm Jasmine, as you've already said. So yes, I work at BBC Studios, which is the global and commercial arm of the BBC. I look after the amazing and eclectic digital portfolio, everything from the very well-known Bluey to Doctor Who and BBC Earth. And we're in charge of building that fandom and monetising that fandom across all digital platforms.
Amazing. And favourite show?
Oh, yes. K-pop Demon Hunters has entered my household. I have a 8-year-old. Please, no judgment. I realise it's PG. But I watched it with her because she was so desperate to watch it. And I was gripped. And now the music is on repeat to my 3-year-old's annoyance.
I have heard wonderful things. I'm going to check it out.
It's great.
We've also got Clarke. Sean is CEO of Aardman Studios and is responsible for leading the executive board and ensuring the studio is in a strong position to build on its rich creative legacy. Sean, do you want to join us on stage? I'd love to hear a bit more about what you do and, of course, your favourite TV show at the moment.
Yeah, that was a bit corporate, wasn't it, that statement? So, yeah, I've been at Aardman. I suppose you could describe me as a veteran. I've been there for nearly 26 years. I really help lead the leadership team for us to carry on making movies, TV series. Hopefully you're aware of some of these great British quirky brands that we've built with Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, Shaun the Sheep. And this will make you feel really old. We've been here nearly 50 years now. Next year, 50 years is our anniversary. So.
Amazing.
Oh, favourite TV show?
I was going to say.
Politically correct answer is Shaun the Sheep Season 7 coming to a screen near but I've just finished watching Department Q on Netflix, which I would put up there as a great show.
Noted. We've also heard from you, Stephen. Stephen is Group Vertical Director of Entertainment and Media at TikTok. Do you want to tell us your favourite TV show?
So it's a BBC show.
Thank you for that.
Here We Go. I'm a huge fan of Here We Go, so I've been very much enjoying the latest season.
Lovely. And we've also got Vanessa Kraft, thank you for joining us, who is Global Head of Content Partnerships and Business Development at TikTok. Would you like to tell us your favourite TV show?
Summer I Turned Pretty. The love triangle, man, it got me. What are you going to do?
It's so good. Are you up to date?
I'm up to date.
You're up to date. I appreciate that you've put in the hours.
So many hours. It's worth it. It's worth it.
So we've heard a lot today about how TikTok ignites, or in some cases reignites, fandoms around shows. If I go to you first, Sean, are you seeing the TikTok effect in your IP, and what is that looking like for you?
Yes, no, very definitely. We are a global brand, I'm pleased to say. Shaun the Sheep is our biggest global brand, it's about 30% of our business, 170 countries. And what TikTok does, we sort of use it in a couple of ways. Really to be part of the conversation, as a whole generation to get their insight and their news from TikTok, as well as entertaining. So a good example of that would be, we've just announced that we are making a series with Pokemon, and we kicked that off with a video asset, which worked incredibly well all over TikTok, had a real strong organic reach, where it came from our account, came from the Pokemon account, and then came from lots of fan accounts, and then lots of debate. And it was one of those things where now we were teasing a tease. I don't know how far back you go about teasing a teasing, but it started the conversation, it's worked incredibly well. So really about informing, starting a conversation, and then entertaining as well at the same time.
I love that. And I believe you also have a very exciting announcement to share with us today.
I do. Working with TikTok for the first time, we're going to try and find the next movie star to star in one of our films next year, which we're releasing with Sky, called Shaun the Sheep, Beast of Mossy Bottom. We always like a pun, and it comes with the caveat that people should expect to have perhaps larger teeth and googly eyes. But the whole campaign will really be around trying to find in the UK the biggest Shaun the Sheep fan, and that could be somebody with a funny Shaun the Sheep haircut, makes a cake, watches back-to-back series, and we will be launching that, I think, on September the 4th under the hashtag Shaun the Sheep Movie 3. So watch this space. First time we've done it. I'm really excited about it.
Thank you so much. That's an incredible prize. I feel like we're all wanting to kind of get our ideas working. If I go to you, Jasmine, how do you approach fandoms more broadly when it comes to your shows, and how effective is building a community around your shows when it comes to your overall marketing efforts?
Fandom's at the heart of everything we do. So fandom can offer you scale and reach, but actually we think more importantly than that, it offers you passion, and it offers you an opportunity to engage with a community. And TikTok does that in incredible fashion. For us, fandom as that strategic engine can drive not only a community that loves you and engages and gets you a two-way relationship, it can also allow you to build from there and build a business around fandom. We believe that we have really invested in that and really heard the audience, heard the community, given them content they want, as well as given them the tools to be able to actually play with our content. And for us, that's what we think is really, really key. Sort of giving over the keys, not being precious, and making sure that your fandom can play with you, just like Shaun was saying. So I think that for us, we believe that that strategy is what has got us to #1 on watch time amongst our competitor set. Really investing in that fandom, turning up where our audiences are and letting them talk back to us and hearing from them, and that really drives insights. For us, we believe that that fandom and that playbook for us allows us to not only drive our ecosystem and our amazing portfolio, but also do it for others. We have announced recently that we are working with Akamar, who have the amazing IP Bing. So we're not just really fueling our portfolio, we're fueling others' fandoms as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think I'll touch on a little bit about what you guys have been doing in a second. Vanessa, you spoke to us about the TikTok Spotlight earlier and showed how it's been used to create organic momentum that converts into real-world action. Can you talk more about this journey and this product and how you think it's tapping into that water cooler moment?
Yeah, it's just going off what Jasmine's saying. There's a call to action that comes with fandom as opposed to, how do you activate a community? Well, it's through the fans, and they are highly engaged, and they truly and rightly so feel that they deserve to be part of this conversation, and the fact that they can build it with you is what's really exciting. So again, not being too precious is, we've really moved a long way in that process. So Spotlight is something that's just helping to offer a tool to enable those kind of creative fan conversations, whatever they want to do, we want them to have access to the tools, which is why partners like BBC are so important, because they have to be like, yes, so that we don't, I can't say this, get sued, but so we don't get sued. That's not what I was going to say, because comms is here. But what I was going to say is it really just give them the tools, let them create what they're going to make, and then it actually, the magic of it is that you end up with something you would have never come up with on your own either way. The more that the partner leans in, and the more that the fandom is really allowed to explore wherever it takes them. So yeah, it's really just about listening to seeing what's happening on the platform. The water cooler conversation now, if anyone is still on return to the office, is really about what TikTok you watch, what was on your FYP, something you learned from the platform, and those conversations are showing up in that way too.
Yeah, I think the water cooler moment still stands.
Still there,
yeah,
right?
I think
still
so.
there. Yeah, it's still there.
Stephen, I'm coming to you next. You work with a lot of advertisers, some of who might be in the room right now. What are you seeing on the advertising side of the business, and how is TikTok integrated into the promotional cycle of a show?
Yep, so I have been, it feels crazy to say this, I've been at TikTok for 5 years. So we have seen such an evolution of how we work, particularly with our broadcast partners, and when it comes to driving engagement and ultimately building huge anticipation leading up to that crucial TX date. What's been really exciting is that traditionally, maybe a few years ago, when it came to from an advertising perspective, the activity was really closely focused, like close to, like either on TX or close to TX and just after. Whereas actually, you know, as we've been referencing, you know, the power of activating our communities and actually enabling them to be able to create and be able to be feeling part of that conversation around your show is really, really important. And, you know, how we've been able to work with our partners in this space is that there's a huge value when it comes to starting that conversation earlier, when it comes to, you know, building hype and building anticipation for TX. So, you know, a recent example would be our work with the BBC on Race Across the World, season 5, and we started our activity typically, you know, a few weeks earlier than we normally would to, you know, really, really build that hype and build that anticipation. And, you know, we hope that, you know, that enabled that show to have, you know, it was hugely engaged with and some great ratings and obviously beating the previous season. Another kind of key area that, you know, we always believe in, and something definitely our broadcast partners are really leading the charge on, is working with amazing creators like yourself. So, you know, we really believe that, you know, the combination of teasing your assets, you know, creating TikTok first cut downs or clips can be incredibly valuable when it comes to stimulating and building conversation around a show. And then when you combine that with, you know, working with passionate creators who are, you know, going to be able to talk really knowledgeably and really kind of show their passion for your shows, you know, the engagement opportunity there is huge. So typically when you compare a creator-led advertising asset and comparing that to a more traditional one, you can sometimes see a 91% higher engagement rate with creator assets. So we think there's a real value to, you know, thinking about broadly your overall strategy on TikTok. Think, you know, from an advertising perspective, think about how you can give that kind of added space and be able to build that added anticipation and start your activity earlier on to create that kind of priming moment. And, you know, think about those clips and how you can cause conversation around, you know, your upcoming show, and, you know, tease the great content you have, and then capitalize on that by working with, you know, our amazing creators who then can, you know, make this show feel like a huge event to our communities. So, yeah, we're continuing to do some really exciting work with our broadcasters and streamers. And I think, you know, what I'm excited about today is that the Samba TV research actually now really puts a tangible value against that work, because we know that, you know, sometimes, you know, when it comes to planning out those strategies and for us to be able to, you know, we know there's a lot of work involved. So actually the great thing is that we can now prove that, you know, having that approach and being able to activate our communities really does drive incremental tune-in and, you know, grows the headroom of audiences for those shows.
Lovely.
Sorry, very long answer.
No. Thank you for setting me up so nicely, because I sit on the other side of things. I'm a creator. I started posting on TikTok with my husband. We started talking about Black Mirror episodes. We wanted a place to kind of go into depth about kind of theories of Black Mirror episodes. If we had time, I would love to hear everyone here's favourite Black Mirror episodes, and there are right and wrong answers. But we focused on just like tapping into talking about TV shows and films that we love, and we have found so much community for kind of whatever you want to talk about. There are people out there who love it too. I made a video talking about Racing Stripes, an early 2000s movie where Hayden Panettiere, she rides a zebra.
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Do you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And
it's a great one.
I was kind of talking about that on TikTok, and, you know, people responded so well. People want a hub to talk and to geek out over movies or films, whatever it is. There are people there who want to talk to you about it. We have just, my husband and I, we have just continued to post on TikTok and kind of grow an audience and grow a group of people who love to chat about things episode by episode. And the opportunities that has opened has been kind of beyond our wildest dreams. You know, we started talking about Black Mirror, fast forward a year, we were in a room with Charlie Brooker. We have had early access to screeners through people like BBC, which, you know, if you're like me, I'm a huge TV fan, is like my dream to be able to see TV early and talk about it. We've also had incredible opportunities. I did my first ever junket with TikTok at the Cannes Film Festival, which was just like a huge huge opportunity for me, and it has opened the doors to other junkets. I spoke to Rob Brydon recently, and someone from school messaged me and was like, "You've been talking about Rob Brydon for over 15 years." When they saw that went live, so that was just like such a huge opportunity. I've also got to speak to recently Dave Franco, Celine Song, and you lovely people. So I am just so grateful for everything, for kind of tapping into these fandoms, to speaking to people, and what it has brought for me. So thank you, TikTok. But that is kind of my perspective on things. Jasmine, I would love to hear, when a brand has a rich, recognisable bank of IP to leverage, how does the BBC approach working with creators, and what have you found has been successful for you?
So BBC Studios really sees that partnership. So like you were talking about, that sort of value exchange and bringing creators in is really important for us. We've got incredible IP that we want to be able to really find the opportunity for resonance with other audiences. You know, we've got scalable audiences, but what we really want to invest in is that watch time and that engagement, which creators do bring. For us, I think you touched on a couple of the things there as to why we would work with a creator. In terms of authenticity, in terms of that sort of creative freedom that you need to be able to give a creator to really make it work, to make it feel authentic to the platform and authentic to the audiences. A great example of it is our work with Costa Meyer, a US TikTok duo who are incredible and have sort of these synchronized dances that just really ignite passion within the audiences. You need to be able to find a creator that is truly a fan of your IP. That's the only way it works. They need to understand the soul of your IP like we do. And therefore that makes it authentic. And it also means that you have that trust. You have to be able to give over that creative freedom and tools to be able to let them do what they do. Like, not a really laser-like brief. That is not how we're working. It's not that type of relationship. It's a relationship where you're going, you're an amazing storyteller, help us tell this story too, and really giving that over to them, because then you have that audience crossover and you're having that audience acquisition for us, creating that resonance and still tapping in to scale and authenticity. And that's why we think the Costa Meyer activation for us did amazing numbers, like we're talking into the billions. So for us, that was an incredible partnership and one that we would go back to, and why we would work with creators.
That's so refreshing to hear from the creator side. I know there are a couple of creators in the room, but just like having that freedom,
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time you can tell when people have been given freedom and they're storytellers.
It shows, and an audience can sniff that out. So you've got to be able to do that, otherwise it just falls flat.
Totally. Vanessa, how do your teams work with creators at TikTok, and what are some of the kind of main learnings that you found from working with creators?
Well, a lot of it is what we're talking about already now, is trust them. I think anyone who works in the industry of making stories, the whole point is to connect with the magic of what happens when someone connects with a story and then feels included, seen, excited, entertained, whatever that might be. So you have a creator who has built their own world, their own scope of what they are entertaining or engaging or teaching people, and a whole community behind them. So bringing the two together, as difficult as it can be for partners, to not give a specific brief, but just give a framework and let that creator do what they do best. It's trusting they are a storyteller as well. They have built a legitimate audience behind them, and they are going to probably tell your story in a way that is going to open that up in a different possibility. So I would say how we work with creators, obviously we partner, our various media partners, we have a lot of things going on. So Ken, as you mentioned, you were there. With Ken, we brought, I think, 30 creators from all over the world, which is very important because it's such a global conversation with film, from all over the world to attend and not just be, in the pit, but also to attend. We had Tom Cruise came and did exclusive interviews with each of our creators just before Mission Impossible 8 started, and then we all went to the premiere. Which is a once-in-a-lifetime moment as well. That carpet is the craziest of them all, I gotta say. And then also just having creators then have that experience. And then we had a lunch, or a small private lunch with Daniel Kaluuya, sorry. And he was amazing. He just gave all the tea. He just spilled everything about everything. We were like, can we write this down? But again, the creators were then in an environment that was an exclusive environment, but not for their audience, because you guys are going to share everything that you've seen with your community and your audience, and that's going to take its own life on, and then it just becomes something. So we really recognize the value. The platform is nothing without our creators. This is what it's built on. We care very much about supporting and giving as many opportunities as possible to share the stories. It's kind of a simple thing, really.
Yeah, that can experience is like once in a lifetime. So to be able to like take other people there.
Yeah, and people love. We all love seeing someone get to do something that it feels like a dream, or get to see it with fresh eyes. Because a lot of it can feel quite jaded or quite formulaic from how we've seen things in the past. So working with people who are individually different people goes without saying. They're going to have individually different ways of sharing their excitement, and yeah, it just kind of makes you feel a little bit more like a regular person, like you're human again.
Yeah.
It's really connective.
Yeah, I totally agree. Off the back of our trip, like the range of content that came out
huge.
Of different creators was
really
so different,
special.
but all amazing to see.
Really enjoy it.
Sean, I've got a similar question for you. Do you use TikTok in a particular way when it comes to understanding how your content lands with communities?
We do. I think we had a slide actually, didn't I? I don't know whether I'm up to do it. Might help articulate. There we go. These three examples actually. So the talking rats was from Creature Comforts, if you remember, where we record members of the public and then we animate to it.
So good.
That was done 20 years ago. So that is, I think, one of our most successful videos, which demonstrates it's timeless, which demonstrates there's a new audience for it, and actually has reinvigorated us to think about how we bring Creature Comforts back. And you all know this, if you're in television, everyone's risk averse. If I can demonstrate there's a real following, it helps those conversations move along. The middle one is Timmy in the House, where we just had a bit of fun, where, Shaun the Sheep is getting on for 20 years old. There's a generation that grew up with it, and we're now speaking to them in a different way, where they'll share it, they'll have a laugh around it. And the last one really was just underpinning what we're world famous for, is the craft. The stop motion process, and we've had some real success when we did Chicken Run. I think it's our most viewed video, 3 or 4 million views, where we give a real snapshot of the craft behind it. We also, on Chicken Run, created a moment which went viral, where for the red carpet premiere at BAFTA, we took the chickens and we dressed them up, and then everyone started taking pictures and things. So it's trying to create a moment, really. And the only other thing I would say is, what I love about TikTok is when you make a movie or when you make a TV series, there's so much, everything is crossed for that first night or that opening weekend. This, you can put something out, you can learn from it, you can get insight, and you can address accordingly. So it's a slightly less stressful way of entertaining your audience as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Chicken Run is one of my favourite films.
That's good.
Here.
Stephen, you mentioned how branded content on TikTok can perform better when you work with creators. Yep. What tools do advertisers have at their disposal?
Yeah, so we have, as a platform, we really want to make it as easy as possible and remove any barriers to working with amazing creators like yourself. So we have just recently launched the new TikTok One platform, which enables you to not only be able to identify and see the amazing creators that you could potentially work with as an advertiser and as a partner. Also enables you to be able to see, trends and actually get some great insight from actually what are the types of content that are blowing up on TikTok. What are what are those shows that are starting to pop, or what is that maybe that comedy show that maybe started off slow, but then actually now it's building up a huge amount of momentum. And there's a wealth of insight that you can gain from that platform. And we think that's something, we've referenced it, is how can you when you feel authentically part of a conversation, and when you identify and you feel as if you are nodding to how the community is talking about, so Doctor Who, for instance, and just the kind of authentic nature of showing up as a brand, but like having a nod to actually how the community and how the fans are already talking about your IP. That's just something so valuable. And we have, these tools can be really, really useful when it comes to actually identifying trends, be able to learn from them, and then very simply be able to identify and potentially work with creators. So that's been and it continues to be such a really, really successful platform for us, and recommend everyone to go and check out TikTok One.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I see that. I see the cycle of shows kind of comes back. Like we were talking about reigniting, but it does. Even shows, kind of old legacy shows, they come back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and comedy's like evergreen on TikTok. Channel 4's been seeing some great success, like teasing out clips from the new Mitchell and Webb show, and there's like one particularly hilarious one which I love. Is like it's a skit where they're at security at the airport. I don't know if you've seen it, but I think someone has seen it because they're laughing thinking about it. But it just always just makes you. And again, I've rewatched that about 10 times, right? So I think and there's that kind of teasing out and using TikTok as that place where if you have like catalog shows or older IP, but then you can actually share like teasers and clips of those kind of older shows. There can be some really huge engagement opportunity that can happen there, and particularly in the world of comedy.
Yeah, totally. We're going to open up for some questions in a minute, but before we do, I would like to get some final thoughts. So Jasmine and Sean, really keen to hear your two different perspectives here. How do you see platforms like TikTok changing the way TV shows are commissioned, made and marketed for our modern audiences? Whoever.
You go first.
Oh, okay.
I can just say ditto then.
I think in terms of thinking about TikTok as a creative lab, a launch pad, and a feedback loop is sort of what we really think about when we're thinking about our digital first commissioning, and what we hope and aspire that we sort of look to for all of our commissioning as well. Because ultimately that creator lab, you talk to it, Stephen, in terms of all of the insight that you can find on TikTok, really tapping into those trends. And for us, that is our lifeblood. We need to be able to be resonating with our audiences, and therefore we need to be playing back those trends and have that relationship with our community. That launchpad, I think, for us, we don't use a huge amount of paid media. We rely on building that organic fandom and really tapping in with our paid when needed to really escalate something, but using it as your launchpad to create something new. So finding new IP, finding new talent on TikTok is something that we're doing every week to make sure that we're really staying in touch with what we want to be doing next year, in 3 years, and really investing in that today. And that feedback loop. So don't think that you're going to get it perfect straight away. Really use it as that creative lab, as I said, to like test out new formats. We're doing that and launching new IP and new channels. So we recently launched BBC Playback, which is to reinvigorate sort of fandoms from the 90s, thinking about things like Top of the Pops, and really thinking about how we can bring those fandoms together and find new IP in the process.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, where we are at the moment, really, you saw a few of the videos. I would say 99% of what we're putting out on our platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, has been made for television or film. What excites me is how we move to the next chapter of turning the thing on its head and starting on a platform like TikTok and then going to television or film. That comes with challenges, how you monetize, how you start to build. But we love a challenge. I can remember when I first joined, we were told you'd never be able to launch on an animated series on what was then the new internet at the turn of the millennium. And we did with Angry Kid, and it became a really big brand for us, and we then put it onto smartphones. In an age when everybody is risk averse, people are commissioning less, if I can go to a TV commissioner and demonstrate I've got millions of people engaging with these characters, that makes that conversation a lot easier. And that's a really exciting moment that we're grasping and in the midst of putting a team into place to deliver on.
Thank you so much. And then Stephen and Vanessa, in a line, what excites you most about where TikTok is growing when it comes to the impact on the TV and film industries? In a line.
In a line. Go on, Vanessa.
It can be a long line if it needs to be.
Bring us home.
I'm most excited by... I'm most excited by really playing off of this. I love that the microphone or the impetus of an idea is starting in the hands of the people, because we all know great storytellers. We've all grown up with a real attachment to people with ideas who haven't really had a place to take them. So that's what, honestly, it sounds a little corny, and I am a little jet lagged, but it does really make me feel, it's one of the most special parts, I think, about the platform, stripping aside all the incredible aspects of what it does for various businesses and for whatever. It's just a tool of creativity. So I don't even remember what the original question was, but I'm going to hold
You covered it.
to that. Stephen?
Is it mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm really excited about, search, and how TikTok continues to be a place and used by our audience as a very rich search environment. Myself and Sean were talking about this before we came on stage. It's just like this, like 1 in 2 searches on TikTok are intentional, and it means that there is a real, people are coming to TikTok to find inspiration and to search for their next next show they want to watch, or next show that they're going to become obsessed with. And where our platform continues to evolve. I think that's just something which is just really exciting that TikTok is offering this really rich search experience, which will just continue to grow and grow on the platform.
Lovely, thank you so much. I now have some questions from the audience. I've got one here that says, how does the partnership work between the production company and TikTok? And what does a deal structure look like?
I don't know the detail of that. I think we have the keys to the platform, and within reason we can do what we wish within your guidelines. Mm-hmm. What we haven't got to the stage of yet is actually doing any branded deals, but that is exciting. We've worked with brands for 30, 40 years doing commercials. For me, that's the next step. If you make a commercial with us, why don't you sponsor a piece of branded content? But I think aside from that, I don't know if there are any other. I mean, you may have.
So we're part of the TikTok Pulse program. Mm-hmm. So BBC Studios, along with a number of broadcasters that are in the room, are part of the Pulse program. So in terms of working with TikTok, I think for us, that's about really identifying what's going to work. What's going to work on the platform? What are the IPs that we think are going to fly? Really interesting for us when we started working with you. It was I think Bluey is a preschool show. Mm-hmm. Like, let's not talk about Bluey now. But then we did move Bluey on, and that was a conversation and sort of figuring out how the partnership was going to work. And Bluey was like the fastest growing preschool IP on TikTok because we had that relationship, because we understood that we could test and learn with you guys. And we started with humor. But actually, it was those real life moments of sort of tapping into an audience that we didn't know we had. It was stretching our audience and talking about infertility. Bluey has the magic to be able to talk about really tough conversations, like infertility, and that's what resonated on TikTok. So for us, having that relationship was really powerful for us, and being part of the Pulse program means that we can monetize our fandom, and that's also really powerful for us too.
I think I need to be part of the Pulse program.
Yeah. It's your key takeaway. I like this one. It says, how does TikTok use its tech to ignite fandom? How does the process actually work when ITV, for example, comes to you for help promoting Love Island? A very specific Love Island call out there.
The most important of all. And the UK Love Island is way more unhinged, I think.
Yeah, I would say it's the superior Love Island.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not to get into too many technical details, but there's obviously a piece where the IP, there's a relationship where we have agreed, we have access to the IP, and we are able to match that IP with a conversation that may be happening that's a user-generated piece of content with recognized IP. So there's another example of a formal partnership that we may have, whether both as Sean and Jasmine were mentioning, it could be as simple as just, you're starting off having conversations where you're coaching and talking about what's best and what they're launching and what works on the platform and tools we might have to help support that, all the way to something that goes across monetization. And in this case, yes, absolutely, we would have a relationship with partners. We're encouraging them. That's what Spotlight is all about. If your IP is available for people to create against, it's going to go even further than it would without.
That makes sense. Anything to add, or we good?
Yeah, and then we complement that with paid activity, which really, we use the paid tools, like we have Spark ads, as we call them, which enables you to be able to, as an advertiser, you can boost a organic post where you can drive a massive amount, because again, when you're scrolling through the For You feed, that, you know, that ad feels like a great piece of organic content, and particularly when it comes to, you know, igniting fandom around like a returning piece of IP like Love Island. See great success using that approach, particularly Spark ads, and then to really eventize the release, we have you know, takeover formats that we call Top View, which is you know, when you open up TikTok, it's the first screen that you see, and it's an amazing urgency driving tool, particularly for that TX state. So all works. You know, the paid media really capitalizes and doubles down on that fandom that Spotlight can ignite.
Makes sense. This question says, when you say allow audiences to play with your content, how is this evolving? What new ways are there with interacting with content should we enable?
I can talk to that. So user-generated content is the way that audiences play with your content. And sometimes that can feel really overwhelming for an IP owner because you're sort of giving away the story. But you've got to remember that it's more powerful to be told by your audience and by the rest of the storytellers out there. And sort of what do I mean when I say play with it? I mean, use the tools of the platform, and hand over your IP. You have to be wary of it, but also allow them to play with it. And by that, I mean, we're monitoring it. We understand that share velocity and understand sort of how that can take off in a powerful way. But we're also protecting our content and being really clear that if it's going to be told in a way that we don't want, we take it down. So for us, that is a way that we can be really clear as to letting the audience play with it in the right way and making it a powerful message, but also protecting the IP at the same time.
And it goes without saying, there's obviously community guidelines that protect certain pieces of content from being on the platform. And again, you know, it is a delicate balance for IP holders, but often what you see in the conversation is such great market research, and even the comments themselves, that, you know, brands that go in or partners that go in and engage with the comments. Maybe someone had a not so positive bit of feedback, but then if there's a dialogue that takes place that actually completely repairs a relationship and turns it into a different direction or a moment to learn more about how that project was made or something like that.
I completely agree. Sentiment is such a powerful data tool for us. So yes, views, that's helpful to know what's working, but watch time is definitely our biggest KPI. But sentiment allows us to understand what the audience want next. We can launch things and go, we think this is what's going to do well, but the sentiment will tell us actually something else. And for example, we launched Bluey Puppets, one of our digital first originals, and Unicourse in Bluey. If you're a Bluey fan, Unicourse is absolutely something that really hits with parents and kids alike. And that is not the character that stood out in Bluey Puppets. It was Brownie Bear. And for us, many of you may not know who Brownie Bear is, but go and find out, because he is going to be the next 007. So please go and look.
There's slightly kind of on that topic, there's a question here that talks about how do you react and engage with negative sentiment around things? Like, what is the protocol to that? Is there something that you have in place?
Yeah, we absolutely do. So we have a CID team. So that is sort of content identification. So that's understanding not only the content that's being created, but the sentiment that's being created behind it. And you know, all data is not good data, and sometimes it's telling you things that you don't want to hear, but that's still powerful. And for us to be able to monitor that and be really clear as to if that negative feedback is constructive. Or not. And that is when we actually have to take action. And we have ways, both internally, taking action with our CID team, but then also our great partnerships with TikTok and other platforms to be able to show if we can't step in, then they do.
And the other thing, just anecdotally, is if you have a really sick social media team, they should know already that your brand is going to engage in some ways and not others. 2 minutes, guys. Is going to engage with your brand in a certain way. So maybe it's, if the brand is very serious, it's actually a witty or a sarcastic response in the comments, for example, from someone running the account. Or maybe they'll make a, you know, that BBC or someone equivalent would make a video that's kind of playing off of some of the feedback, if you're that type of a channel with that type of voice. So, but if it goes too far, obviously there's a line. But you can play in that space of, you know, I often think about luxury brands, for example, on the platform, and how fun it is for those who play against type versus those who remain, you know, in that really kind of clear authoritative voice that they have. So it's another part of the strategy too.
Thank you for that. We've got 1 minute left. I'm going to ask, what is your favourite piece of content from your brand in a line? What's your favourite piece of content that's come out, like creator content that's come out of your brand?
Creator-led content.
Or other. It could kind of...
I'm going to go with creator-led content. So Diane Buswell, who's obviously very well known for Strictly, has done I'm going back to Bluey again, a Bluey digital first series called Bluey Dance Along. She's incredible to work with, an amazing creator, and which means we do have that trust. And Dance Along is just such a powerful series because it really connects with all audiences and gets people in real life dancing, which is the best.
I'd go with Creature Comforts, really. I just find it hilarious.
Perfect.
Really lovely.
It's the best.
I think that's all we've got time for. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.